Neuron structure and function. The cells of the nervous system that receive and send messages within that system are known as neurons. Neurons receive and process information to and from the brain. The electrical signal that the neuron conducts is known as nerve impulse. They are in varying size and shapes, having varied functions to perform. The neuron structure is related to its functions. A typical neuron has the soma or the cell body, axon, and terminal buttons. The plasma membrane of the neuron is the double layer of phospholipid molecules that is semi-permeable to certain kinds of substances. The plasma membrane controls the movement of the substances through it, hence it is involved in the nerve impulse. It also provides sites for electrical activity that occurs during nerve impulse and for synaptic activity between two neurons. The cell body is the largest part of the neuron that has a number of components floating in its cytoplasm such as Golgi body, Nissl bodies, mitochondria, rough endoplasmic reticulum, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, etc. The cell body is the metabolic center of the neuron and is also called as the soma. The word soma means body. There is a nucleus in the center. The dendrites, dendrite means tree-like, are the extensions from the cell body which look like branches of a tree. The dendrite tips have sensory receptors that receive the stimuli from other neurons and begin the process of nerve impulse by sending these impulses to the cell body. The axon is a long slender part of the neuron that extends from a portion of the cell body known as axon hillock. Axon hillock is a cone-shaped region at the junction between axon and the cell body. It is often covered by the myelin sheath and carries information from the cell body towards its distal end, also known as terminal buttons. Myelin sheath is a fatty insulation around many axons. The axons vary in length and diameter, with larger diameter indicating faster action potentials influencing neural conduction. The axon may have branches known as axon collaterals. The brief chemical or electrical message that begins from a cell body travels down the axon to the terminal buttons is known as action potential. When the axon divides at the rear end, it branches profusely and each branch ends in a knob. These are known as terminal buttons. When the action potential travels down the axon, it reaches the terminal buttons where a chemical substance is released known as neurotransmitter. The function of the neurotransmitters is to either increase or reduce the activity of the receiving neuron. Though neurons are present in large numbers in the brain, there are other primary cells that provide support to the neurons, known as neuroglia, glial cells or glia. Glial cells also affect thinking, learning, memory, perception, and help in maintaining a state of homeostasis of nervous system. Glial cells deliver nutrients to neurons, produce myelin to coat axons, clean up waste products and dead neurons, help in information processing, and influence the generation of new neurons during prenatal development. The role of glial cells in neurodevelopmental disorders like autism spectrum disorder, degenerative disorder like Alzheimer's disorder, and psychiatric disorders like major depressive disorder and schizophrenia is being investigated by neuroscientists. There are four main types of glial cells as we already saw. They are oligodendrocytes that produce myelin for neurons in the brain and spinal cord, that is the center of the nervous system, and Schwann cells that produce the myelin sheath around the neurons of the body or the peripheral nervous system. Myelin protects the shaft of the axon as well as it gives support. Such nerve fibers are known as myelinated fibers. There are certain gaps between the myelin sheath which is known as nodes of Ranvier. Microglial cells are involved in inflammation response, that is protecting the brain from invading microorganisms. Astrocytes clean up the waste material of dying neurons.